So let's go to the day that Caylee Anthony is in jail and she's charged with first-degree murder, but they haven't yet found a body. And then they do. Beth, can you take us to, because, weirdly, the man who found the body, who was a meter reader, would wind up becoming a central figure for a time in this case. There were all these reports about him, and it was like, I remember asking myself, why is he anything other than the man who found the body? Like, how did he become more interesting than that? So can you explain that? Explain how he found little Caylee's remains.
Yes, indeed. I'm pulling a lot of this from memory, so you might have to fill in a couple of facts here. But his name is Roy Kronk. Now, that day was December 11th, 2008. There was a hearing in the Caylee Anthony case that day. In fact, I seem to recall that was the day that Jose Baez waived speedy trial. And not unusual, for the defense to do that. I mean, in my experience, but we were all in Orlando, like the media was at the courthouse because it was yet another hearing. I remember being at a little cafe next to the courthouse where all our satellite trucks were, and there was a TV monitor on the wall, and all of a sudden, like a breaking news story comes on. A body found, and we all turn around. We're staring at it. I was with Kerry Sanders from NBC, and they're like, Caylee may have been found. We all went racing out of that place. I couldn't up and leave with our satellite truck. We were parked there, so I had to wait. Everyone else, and NBC and others are on their way to the scene as close as they could get to where the tents were being set up and a grid was being created, and it would be days of sifting through this property, this wooded area, a quarter mile from where Caylee Anthony lived with her parents. And that's where the remains were found. Now, the man who called it in, this meter reader you're talking about, Roy Kronk, claims that he had actually found the body in August, or a skull or something, in August. And he called it in for a couple of times in August, and he wasn't being taken seriously. Like, a deputy showed up and did a cursory search. This is like a really dense wooded area, which, by the way, there had been a storm that summer of 2008, and that area had been flooded at one point, but it was no longer flooded by December. And Roy Kronk, goes back there. He says to relieve himself because there was an elementary school just down the street, across the street, but down from where the body was found. And so he now has reported again having found a skull, and it's now taken more seriously. I'm not quite sure why there wasn't a more thorough search before. It might have been because it was flooded. Maybe the deputy was afraid of the snakes or whatever. But she should have been found a lot earlier than December 11th. So Roy Kronk, it's suspicious. I mean, he does call it in months earlier and finally calls it in again on December 11th. So that's a little weird. But there is evidence the body wasn't actually moved. There were scattered remains. I mean, she's skeletonized and she's in pieces, regrettably. But she had been in a couple of bags.
The loss of evidence, like the DNA and so on over that time, it would have been much more useful to have it in hand earlier.
Sure, and her remains were spread because of animal activity, but there was a laundry bag, a cloth laundry bag with her that matched one, because it had been a set of two that matched another one in the Anthony home. So it came from the home, and I don't think anyone's really disputing that. In fact, the defense facts that their version that they put forth from openings on was that yes, she died at home. It was an accidental drowning, and her body was disposed of. So not really refuting that the bag, belonged to the home, but that was pretty clear. So, I mean,
but there was something else much more important that they found on the body than the bag, which was the duct tape. Get to that.
The tape, yeah. So when Cheney described how the somebody from the sheriff's department came to the local TV station and said it was wrapped around the head. I mean, it really wasn't like wrapped around the head like that. Right. I only saw photos. I didn't see the actual skull, but I only saw photos. But her hair was in the back. She had long hair. Her hair was in the back of the skull, and there was like the lower jaw should have been separated from the rest of the skull, right? Because everything is decomposed, but it wasn't. and the tape was kind of holding it together. It seemed like the tape and the hair was all stuck together there. So it was in the front, but there's a lot of slippage. But like, why is there tape there? Like that was what really got they're like, prosecution was like, yeah, there's no reason to put tape on a skull. Unless you're
and wasn't there a heart sticker?
No.
Yeah, I mean, well, there was a criminalist who was looking at the tape and saw the shape, but this heart shape, but then it like went away, right? It was like seen but not captured in a photo or anything. So it was just a testimony, is my recollection. And I think that it was never like, I don't know if it was
proven.
I don't know, somehow it was disposed of, disintegrated or something.
I can tell you about that. The heart-shaped sticker was found on a piece of trash about 40 feet from the remains and more closely across the street from the elementary school. It was never connected to this forensic scene, but other than it was found and talked about. And Beth is right about the slippage. And the duct tape was not all around the head. The duct tape had been on the top of the bag, and when the decomposition happened and the skin and the material and the hair, there was a part of the hair that had duct tape on it, but there wasn't any actually on the skull. And Dr. Werner Spitz testified about all of that and about the body. One thing that you said was important, I think both of you are pointing out, was why was Mr. Kronk not taken seriously about finding the body? He did. I think, Beth, it was 3 times, if I remember correctly, that he called and reported and said, hey, I'm out here. I found this, looks like a skull to me. And they just ignored him.